Thank you for showing up for another speaking tip. Today I want to talk to you about a very simple concept that gets very complicated in speaking. At least it did for me. And in the people I coach, it's something that I see creep into speeches quite often and dilutes down the value of the message. And that is the simple fact that you need one crystal clear message. You need message clarity with, like I said, one simple direct message that you get out of your speech. Now, what happens to a lot of people is we get something called message creep. And that means that you start with one message. Some people don't even start with one message, but you start with the premise of one message and you wind up putting 3 and 4 other messages in the speech as you write the speech. And you tell a couple different stories to a couple different examples. In my world champion speech, as I was working it, the whole message was validating what's right in people. Do you validate? That's the message. Do you validate what's right in people? That's it. Very short message. Now, I have something I call the business card test, and you need to be able to write the message of your speech down in the back of a business card, or it shouldn't be more than 7 words. When somebody calls me, wants me to coach their speech, and I talk to them about, I ask them, well, what's the message or the premise of your speech? And it takes them 7 minutes to tell me what the message in a 7-minute speech. I go, they don't quite have that nailed down. The message clarity is we need to know in just a couple words what the final takeaway from our speech is. How do we want the audience to act, feel, think different? I just guess you got to touch the heart to change the mind. How are you going to get them to feel and think differently after your speech? That clarity needs to be the nail of a head, not the side of a barn. Now, just as an example, as I was saying on my world champion speech, the message was, do you validate what's right in people? Very simple. Just validate what's right in people. Forget about what's wrong with them. Just validate what's right in them. I had another message creeping in that I wasn't even aware of. It's called my ultimate success. And I started talking about my ultimate success as I was developing that speech, and that the validation was leading towards my ultimate success. Well, it was 2 different messages, and it was starting to diffuse the power of validations. I was putting another message in there. And I see this all the time in speeches that get sent to me. So you have this thing called message creep, where you start to get more messages that creep into the speech. I had one gentleman who was giving a speech about a situation he had with his wife he was trying to resolve, and a situation with his boss. He had a situation with his mother, and he had a situation with his daughter. And what happened was, with each story and each situation, he was having a little different resolution, a little different message with each scenario that he was giving, that in the end, he didn't know what the solution was. So we had to take that and put it together that we had one solution for all 4 of those scenarios, which was a good base of scenarios in life, because that encompasses about everybody as far as examples go, that we could use with one clear message. The other way message creep works is that the message creeps out of your speech. You're so excited, I see this, the speaker's so excited about the story, or he's writing away, and the message that they're trying to get across doesn't actually come through in the speech, or doesn't even get stated in the speech. And then when I go through the whole speech, there's no message in it whatsoever. But there's a couple great stories, but nothing really ties it together. So one of the things that I'll look at is that when you tell the story gets the audience to feel the experience. They may not even realize what the message is, and they shouldn't, from my viewpoint, until after the story, but it gets them to experience or feel the message, and then you tell them what the message is, and that's when it makes the analytical connection with them. Okay, so the story needs to align to the message. One of the things I see all the time is the story is a great story, but it doesn't align to the message at all. There's a disassociated message with it. So when you look at your speech, the simplicity is, especially in a short 5 to 7, 10-minute speech, you need to come down to one crystal clear message. And that message clarity is going to determine the impact that the audience has. Now, the simplicity is, if you had 3 messages with the same amount of energy, the same amount of examples, the same amount of communication, instead of 1, you've diffused all that energy into 3, so that's going to be 1/3 as powerful as though you put all that energy, all those examples, all those words, all that intention into one message. And that's what I'm saying. You need to have the message clarity where everything comes down to one message that impacts the audience harder, touches their heart, changes their mind, gets them to think and act differently because of the clarity that you gave them. Okay, message for today, work. Always make sure to have good, clear message clarity, work to have message clarity in your speech.